going to close out this segment of the program with Dr. V. Dr. V, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm good. We're going to have to get you on for a much longer segment coming up, because I have so many questions now with what's happening with these
Yes.
vaccines. I'm like, what?
I know. Well, let me give you the quick and dirty. So the Johnson & Johnson, because everybody's asking me about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and that being paused. So I tell people the quick and dirty is we saw it in 6 out of 6.8 million vaccines. They paused it because people were saying, well, birth control pills cause clots. It's not the same sort of clot. So when you get a clot from a birth control pill, you can give people heparin. This sort of clot, if you give people heparin, it makes it worse. So they needed to actually pause it so they could actually train physicians to not treat this clot the same as we would normally treat a clot. So I do think it will be used again. They just have to train us so that we don't use our standard of care and make something worse.
It's interesting. And now I heard just yesterday, I mean, I've had the Pfizer vaccine, right? And
Right.
already they're talking about the booster.
Yeah.
And I don't know, do you know anything about that? What they're
So
finding?
both Pfizer and Moderna are working on a booster. And that's primarily because of the mutations and the variants. We really have to come together as a world community to help countries like Brazil, and in our own states, California, that have had Philippines, India, that have had really, really bad outbreaks and haven't been able to get control. So the more replication you have of this virus, the more opportunities it has to improve and also get deadlier. So that's basically what's happening until you actually, until you really get it under control. You're not going to hear of a South Korean variant or New Zealand variant because those countries did a very good job mitigating their virus load at the very, very beginning. So these variants are coming out of hotspots. And so we're going to constantly have to do booster shots unless we get control of these hotspot areas.
I'm one of those obnoxious people who used to say, oh, I don't get a flu shot. I never wanted one. And now they got me locked into this, into, the COVID-19 shot. I'd be afraid not to take a booster, especially when I'm hearing numbers. I think I heard yesterday that, not only are they having upticks in places like Michigan, but right even here in Maryland, I hear that the numbers have increased. And do you have any idea of what they're finding and why that's happening? Is it because of the reopening? Is it because of the variants coming in? What's that all about?
Yeah, so Michigan, we know that there's been a 60% uptick. Their ICUs and hospitals are very crowded. We're also seeing younger patients or older patients who did not get vaccinated. So the age range is actually going down. So the ICU patients are getting younger and younger. You really have to vaccinate everyone as quickly as possible. It's really just a race against time, because as people decide to go back to their regular life, other folks who haven't gotten vaccinated want to follow suit. Right? Without realizing that, if you're vaccinated, you really kind of need to not do that until you actually get vaccinated. I have not seen anybody in the emergency department who has been vaccinated who's come in sick. Okay, with COVID. So everybody that we're seeing right now are folks that are unvaccinated.
Right.
So yeah, the openings are I think a bit too soon. And then you have the variants like the UK variant, which is now dominant variant in the United States. And you've got all these other variants coming in. And I tell people you have to kind of really get everybody vaccinated as quickly as possible and then open up.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too, about those that you haven't seen in emergency rooms that have been vaccinated. That's a good thing to hear, because I'm also concerned about that. And one other concern I have, it's just a story that I've been hearing about a lot of places where these vaccines are still sitting on the shelves. And does that mean that in states, I don't think that's happened here in any of the jurisdictions near us.
Right.
But, people are just not coming in to get them. I mean, how long can a vaccine stay on a shelf?
Well, so that depends. The Pfizer vaccine initially required dry ice. I think they have since amended that. and the Moderna is a regular refrigeration, right? So most of the vaccines, are good for 30 to 45 days. I think the main thing is the states need to loosen them up and just allow anybody who wants to come get a vaccine, come and get a vaccine so that folks can actually come in and get them as quickly as possible. A lot of our public health departments that were originally doing all this rollout really didn't even have the infrastructure, the internet appointment setting infrastructure to actually manage taking care of our communities.
Right.
So I think, that's one of the things that we've really got to look at is making sure our public health systems actually have the infrastructure that they need so that we can respond to something like this a little bit faster moving forward.
Right. Well, like I said, I have still probably 20 more questions to ask you.
Yeah.
But this virus is not going away. Hopefully you're not going away, so we can continue to have this conversation. I would ask anybody out there who's watching, if you have some questions for Dr. V, send them in to us at news@washingtoninformer.com, because I want to make sure that it's just not all my questions, but I think I'm asking some that the public wants. Is there anything you think we need to know before we sign off?
I just tell people, if you're vaccinated and you're going to be around unvaccinated family members or friends, please wear a mask and keep everybody safe until we kind of get everybody vaccinated. And if you have people that are a little leery about getting vaccinated, listen to them, be gentle, be ginger, and encourage them to go talk with their physician about it.
Great. Okay. Yeah. All right, Dr. V, thank you as always for being with us. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
All right. Sounds good. Talk to you later.
Okay, doke. All right. All right. That's it for this edition of WIN TV. Thank you so much for being with us.